But the question is, how do we multiply that success? The answer is President Barack Obama. Mitt Romney, quite simply, doesn't get it. A few months ago, he visited a university in Ohio and gave students there a little entrepreneurial advice. Start a business, he said. But how? Borrow money if you have to from your parents, he told them. Gee, why didn't I think of that? Some people are lucky enough to borrow money from their parents. But that shouldn't determine whether you can pursue your dreams. Not in America, not here, not in the 21st century. I don't think Governor Romney meant harm. I think he's a good guy. He just has no idea how good he's had it. We know that in our free market economy, some will prosper more than others. What we don't accept is the idea that some folks won't even get a chance. And the thing is, Mitt Romney and the Republican Party are perfectly comfortable with that America. In fact, that's exactly what they're promising us. The Romney-Ryan budget doesn't just cut public education, cut Medicare, cut transportation, and cut job training. It doesn't just pummel the middle class, it dismantles it. It dismantles what generations before have built to ensure that everybody can enter and stay in the middle class. When it comes to getting the middle class back to work, Mitt Romney says no. When it comes to respecting women's rights, Mitt Romney says no. When it comes to letting people love who they love and marry who they want to marry, Mitt Romney says no. When it comes to expanding access to good health care, Mitt Romney Actually, Mitt Romney said yes, and now he says no. Governor Romney has undergone an extreme makeover, and it ain't pretty. So here's what we're going to say to Mitt Romney in November. We're going to say no. Of all the fictions we heard last week in Tampa, the one I find most troubling is this. If we all just go our own way, our nation will be stronger for it. Because if we sever the threads that connect us, the only people who will go far are those who are already ahead. We all understand that freedom isn't free. What Romney and Ryan don't understand is that neither is opportunity. We have to invest in it. Republicans tell us that if the most prosperous among us do even better, that somehow the rest of us will too. Folks, we've heard that before. First they called it trickle down, then they called it supply side, now it's Romney-Ryan, or is it Ryan-Romney? Either way, their theory's been tested, it failed, our economy failed, the middle class paid the price, your family paid the price, Mitt Romney just doesn't get it. But Barack Obama gets it. He understands that when we invest in people, we're investing in our shared prosperity. And when we neglect that responsibility, we risk our promise as a nation. Just a few years ago, families that had never asked for anything found themselves at risk of losing everything. And the dream my grandmother held, that work would be rewarded, that the middle class would be there, if not for her, then for her children, that dream was being crushed. But then President Obama took office and he took action. When Detroit was in trouble, President Obama saved the auto industry and saved 1 million jobs. Seven presidents before him, Republicans and Democrats, tried to expand health care to all Americans. President Obama got it done. He made a historic investment to lift our nation's public schools and expanded Pell Grants so that young people can afford college. And because he knows that we don't have an ounce of talent to waste, the president took action to lift the shadow of deportation from a generation of young, law-abiding immigrants called dreamers. Now it's time for Congress to enshrine in law their right to pursue their dreams in the only place they've ever called home, America. 4 years ago, America stood on the brink of a depression. Despite incredible odds and united Republican opposition, our president took action. And now, we've seen 4.5 million new jobs. He knows better than anyone that there's more hard work to do, but we're making progress. And now, we need to make a choice. It's a choice between a country where the middle class pays more so the millionaires can pay less, or a country where everybody pays their fair share so we can reduce the deficit and create the jobs of the future. It's a choice between a nation that slashes funding for our schools and guts Pell Grants, or a nation that invests more in education. And it's a choice between a politician who rewards companies that ship American jobs overseas, or a leader who brings jobs back home. This is the choice before us. And to me, to my generation, and for all the generations to come, our choice is clear. Our choice is a man who's always chosen us, a man who already is our president, Barack Obama. The American dream is not a sprint or even a marathon, but a relay. Our families don't always cross the finish line in the span of one generation, but each generation passes on to the next the fruits of their labor. My grandmother never owned a house. She cleaned other people's houses so she could afford to rent her own. But she saw her daughter become the first in her family to graduate from college. And my mother fought hard for civil rights so that instead of a mop, I could hold this microphone. And while she may be proud of me tonight, I got to tell you, Mom, I'm even more proud of you. Thank you. Today, my beautiful wife, Erica, and I are the proud parents of a 3-year-old little girl, Karina Victoria, named after my grandmother. A couple of Mondays ago was her first day of pre-K. And as we dropped her off, we walked out of the classroom, and I found myself whispering to her, as was once whispered to me, que Dios te bendiga. May God bless you. She's still young and her dreams are far off yet, but I hope she'll reach him. As a dad, I'm going to do my part, and I know she'll do hers. But our responsibility as a nation is to come together and do our part as one community, one United States of America, to ensure opportunity for all of our children. The days we live in are not easy ones, but we have seen days like this before, and America prevailed. With the wisdom of our founders and the values of our families, America prevailed. With each generation going further than the last, America prevailed. And with the opportunity we build today for a shared prosperity tomorrow, America will prevail. It begins with re-electing Barack Obama. It begins with you. It begins now. Que Dios los bendiga. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.